probably a dagger. All right guys, welcome back to the practice round. This week we are at Northwood Black here in Peoria, Illinois for the Ledgestone Insurance Open. Thank you guys for joining me. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you guys are enjoying my knowledge that I'm dropping, and let's keep it going. I'm just gonna warm up, throw a couple putters just to warm up for me. That's what I like to do. Just so I'm not throwing my arm as hard as I can on the first shot. Now I'm gonna throw a couple more of my shots I would normally throw in the tournament. This one's gonna be an evader. Just kind of try to throw. We got a little bit of a right to left wind, so naturally you saw those putters, they all went left and hit trees on the left-hand side of the fairway. So I'm gonna kind of try to turn it, and anytime you turn a disc into a crosswind, it's always gonna drop. And we're going downhill, so we got the advantage of disc is going to start up higher than normal anyway, so it's allowed, it's going to have time to drop. That's funny. Don't think I can throw it much better than that. I'll throw one more. I'll throw a trust, but that one was pretty much gold. So a pretty similar route. I threw it a little bit further right and hit something, but yeah, that evader's the shot. I think the biggest thing on these downhill shots, as you see, we're walking pretty far downhill, is just throwing down. It's just so much easier to hit your line and your angle, your speed. When you're throwing up, it just changes the nose angle so much, it's hard to hit your line and be accurate. So biggest amateur mistake going downhill is throwing up. Feel like you're throwing down, you'll have a lot more success. Even though I parked my game time shot, I like to practice up shots, scrambling from different spots. I threw it OB, what the heck? That's crazy. Dang, I peered the gap. As you can see, a lot of trees to miss. Slid out of bounds. If that would happen in a tournament, that's just the kind of shot that you can't be too upset about it. You peered the gap and just got unlucky to not hit this wooden post. But yeah, as you can see, this is kind of a backstop. I just happened to miss it. Still got the par though. So that's how you save a par. All right, hole 2, 580-foot par 4, dogleg to the right. Tee shot isn't all about distance. It's about really just throwing a mid-range, putters even sometimes, throwing to the dogleg, and then playing your next shot through the gap. I'm gonna go with the first two. I'm gonna throw a couple putters, see where that lands me, and then see once I get up there, I'm gonna also throw mid-range and kind of see which one I feel more comfortable with off the tee. We got an uphill tee fairway, so I'm gonna throw a little bit more flippy, so that way my disc is gonna glide a little bit more, because obviously when you're going uphill, you're just naturally gonna wanna not glide and fade out. So throw my flippy or dagger, see where that lands me. Oh. So I pulled that one a little bit to the right, but I'll throw one more dagger. That one looked a little bit better. It might be a little still short, so I'm gonna go with the mid-range. This one might put me in a better spot here. Yeah, that one looked way better. I think that's gonna be in the best spot of the three. So yeah, the first two, as you saw, weren't great shots. I felt like I was kind of forcing the putter and didn't throw it my best. Then once I was able to kind of just smooth the mid-range up here, this is where I landed. So I definitely feel confident about this. So that's where I'm gonna throw my shot, is from here. And this is the type of hole where if you miss a drive, you're gonna have to throw your second shot from here to try and get up and down. So I feel real comfortable that this is a common spot to land, so I'm gonna throw from here. So that was a dagger. I'm gonna try a harp now. See where that gets me. Probably just go with a standstill harp. just don't have to worry about going long. It kind of helps my distance control. That's kind of another reason why you'll see me throw standstill for upshot sometimes, because I know I can just fire it and not worry about going too far long. Whereas if I run up and do a full speed, I might blast it 40, 50 long. So yeah, they're both a putt. So yeah, really it's just, when I practice those different shots, it's kind of be a kind of game time decision. If my backhand upshot's feeling good that day, I got that dialed, and then my forehand's feeling good that day, I can throw the forehand. So I can lean on whatever is feeling good for that day. Cool, so that's the forehand, got the birdie from there. And then obviously my backhand's right there. But I do also like to play some putts from long, because you're coming downhill and they like to skip and slide. So it's very common for, even if I throw that shot just a little bit further, it's gonna skip and, you know, have a fast green up to here. And so I will take some putts from here just because this is a pretty common spot to land. So yeah, that's hole 2 right there. Got the putts dialed, we got the drives dialed, and we know what we're doing on the upshot. All right, hole 3, 604 foot, par 4, almost a complete opposite of hole 2. We're going straight about 350 to 400, then dogleg straight right. So it's gonna be a forehand to maybe a backhand, or depending on what position I'm in, maybe a forehand scramble. So tricky dogleg, gonna go forehand off the tee. Let's see where I can land. All right, I'm gonna go with the criminal. I got 2 Lucid Ice criminals. I'm gonna throw these down there. This first one's blue, a little beat up. So I'll show you kind of how this one flies, hopefully right through the gap. I'm gonna kind of aim it at that middle tree with a little bit of flex on it, because then by the time it gets towards that tree, it's gonna be fading back right. It's more of like a flex shot that kind of finishes right. It's not like a penetrating hyzer that kind of finishes slowly. You kind of wanna go pretty far right. So I'm gonna throw the flex type of hyzer at the end. So that looks good. I caught something late, but I maybe have hyzered a little bit early. I need to get a little bit more turn on this one, so that's what I'm gonna go for on this shot. That looks better. Yeah, that's pretty good. I just cleared that hill. If you notice, I just cleared that hill by like 6 inches, and that's gonna put me down there and give me a nice skip, nice and straight. Versus if I'm coming in high over the hill, it's just gonna kind of fade down and not give me that speed penetrating over the hill. So that clear one should be in a great spot. So this clear one is an absolute prime spot. I basically threw myself in a spot where I can throw a standstill kind of putter approach. You can see the gap's really narrow. The left side is just death. So you really wanna throw something kind of at the left side tree and ante, but you really want to make sure you're anteing. Favor the right side if anything, because the left side, if you go over there, it could be an automatic bogey if you throw it in the wrong spot. So I'm going to just focus on hitting my line angle and give myself a birdie putt. Kind of turned it too much. I probably should run up. I'm kind of in between the run up and a standstill, so I'm gonna do a soft run up, and that might give me a better feel for the shot. I didn't turn that one enough. I hit that last tree. I'm gonna throw another shot so I can get this one dialed. This is very touchy, as you can see. There we go, that's a good one. That's a better shot. Yeah, so that should be down that hill, probably a 20, 30 footer. But as you can see, the drive was super important to get me in this spot, to even give me a chance. Because if you don't hit the drive, you're just scrambling for a par. And you guys will see me pick up shots. Like I picked up those couple shots because there's really no point in practicing a 100-foot layup. I know I can do that pretty high percentage, so there's no reason for me to do that. I'd much rather practice either the upshot or the putt. Anything in between, if I throw a bad shot, it's a pretty easy scramble for a par. So I feel like I'm not really getting too much out of my time there, then I'm just gonna pick it up and move on. Okay, so this is also a pretty common spot here, is because you want to come in and try to either go left or right of this tree, but sometimes you're going to hit it and land in this weird spot. So I'm going to take a couple putts from here. But yeah, a lot of times you want to use this hill to kind of just filter down to the basket, but sometimes it doesn't work. And I hit this tree, so. Yeah, my spin putt's been dialed lately, so that's another thing that I feel like I got going for me. I got the spin putt going if I need it in the wind, and I got my regular putt if there's not wind. And I think that's super important because my spin putt was off a little bit just because I had been practicing it. Now that I'm practicing it a lot, it's getting a lot more dialed, and I'm not scared to break it out in a tournament. All right, hole 4, 637 foot par 4. This one's not quite a dog leg. It's more like a gradual turn to the left all the way to the basket. It's going to be a forehand off the tee, and then depending on the drive and the positioning, you might have to throw another forehand or a nice backhand putter. So let's see how I can attack this hole, see if I can get the birdie. All right, I'm gonna go with the drive. I'm just gonna try to throw it on the left side of these right trees on the right side of the fairway on like a flex line, because this hill is gonna naturally want to take your disc and turn it more left than you want. So I'm just gonna try to control the angle and flex it between this middle gap and kind of finish back behind that whitish tree in the distance, and that'll kind of get me in a good spot. I really want to try to just go right in front of that big fat tree in the fairway and finish right of it, and that's a good spot to land. A little bit too far right. I threw it pretty good, nice and firm. I just maybe took too flippy of a disc, but also the hill is naturally going to want to drag them further left, like you saw, like I talked about that, and then that's exactly what happened. So I'm going to throw a little bit more stable, so that way the hill is not going to bring my disc too far left into that tree. There we go. Oh, that one turned a little bit too. Looks like it hit some. I'm going to throw, I'm going to throw one more. I'm going to throw a fairway driver just so, and I want to see where this lands me. See if that can get me in a good spot too. So I'm gonna throw a felon here. There we go, I like that. So I wanna see where that lands me. That was a solid shot right in the middle. I wanna see if I can throw a shot from there. All right, so I threw the felon into the middle of the fairway. I don't like those trees over there, because if I throw a distance driver, my disc is gonna run into those trees I hit on the first shot. Whereas the felon, those trees are kind of out of play because the disc isn't getting there so fast. So I think the felon's the play. I'm gonna throw a slower speed, and that leaves me with a nice forehand kind of flex shot, turnover with like a harp or something, which I'm really comfortable doing that. That's a kind of one of my shots I really am good at. So if I'm playing a drive into a spot where I'm playing into my strength, that's always a good thing. So I'm gonna do that. So yeah, this shot kind of has like a sneaky overhead limb, and when you're throwing a shot like around a corner like that, naturally you want to throw it high to give it time to turn, but you can't on this one because that kind of limb's in the way. So I'm really just focused on throwing a low, more of a line drive instead of a floaty shot. So even though it's not that long, I still have to throw it hard, and I can't really worry too much about the distance control because we got a hill short of the basket. So if I hit that hill with speed or with a soft shot, it's going to be pretty much the same thing. So throw a harp here on this shot. Yeah, I like that a lot. That skipped up to the basket probably about 20, 25 feet. I'm gonna throw one more harp. And as you saw, I threw a nice line drive. I'm gonna do that again. Oh, I didn't turn it enough. So that's probably up there putting. I just didn't turn that one quite enough, but yeah, I like the felon. Slower speed sets up for my patented forehand Annie with the harp. Like I said, as you can see, this hill is a nice upslope. So if you're throwing a line drive, you don't have to worry about going too far because you're just gonna hit this hill and kind of stick. So speed control is not super important on this green for that reason. All right, so there we go. We got the birdie with the felon, so now we know the play. All right, hole 5, 454 foot par 4. You're throwing about a 300 foot shot, 250 I would say, with a putter, and then another 200 to 250 up the hill, dogleg left. You're gonna see people not throw much more than a putter off the tee. You're trying to land at about 220 to 250. That's the landing zone. If you go further or shorter than that, your second shot is completely blocked by trees. So it's a distance control shot. I'm gonna throw 2 daggers and try to hit the sweet spot. So yeah, I'm really just kind of trying to focus on going over this log. There's a log in the fairway. So I want to land my disc about 10, 15 feet past that, and all the fairway is like this hard pan stuff. So I want to land it at like 200 feet and try to get like a 20 or 30 foot slide, because that's exactly what happens once you get up there. So let's see if I can, the catch cam can kind of catch the reaction of the disc off the ground, so I can show you kind of how much this fast fairway is. Over the log like I wanted, and now I want to see the skip. So that thing skipped a bunch, as you can see the camera guy. So that might have skipped too much even. So I'm going to try to throw a little bit more Annie, a little bit more nose up, so it's kind of sitting like this. Because if you hit on this hard pan with penetration, it's just going to skip past the landing zone into the crap. So that one looks better. Yeah. So I want to see with those two. That second one, I toned it down a little bit, didn't get quite as much skip. I didn't put quite as much speed going forward. So we'll see what the purple and the orange is, and then I'll know my shot for the tournament. So as you guys can see, here's the log. And probably where my disc is landing is like right here. So I'm not landing my disc over there. I'm landing my disc here, and it's sliding there. And if I throw my shot and I land where my discs are, I'm gonna slide into the crap long and have no shot. So this distance control has both been perfect. So I'm in this landing zone there, in the landing zone here. And so I'm able to get my, kind of get my feel down as far as how to throw the speed of this shot. So I'm gonna throw for my first one. It's a little more awkward. I went a little, as you can see, the landing zone is kind of a little bit over here. This is, theoretically, this should be in the fairway, but I don't want to be here. I want to be about 15, 20 feet short, because you can see I'm just looking at trees. So I can still throw a shot. It's just a little more awkward versus if I go here, I'm pretty much almost not wide open, but a lot more open than there. So 10, 15 feet on this hole makes a huge difference. And so you have to factor that in when you're throwing your drive. So normally it looks like it'd be a left to right sidearm with like a slammer, which I'll throw from there. But from here, I'm gonna throw just kind of a nice smooth Annie, because I wanna get around this first tree that's kind of giving me trouble because of the angle. So I'm gonna just throw a nice smooth Annie. It's not a super long shot, just about getting my arm swing and getting that Annie flight down. So I threw that one a little early. I'm gonna throw one more. I wanna go inside left. I wanna go left of that tree. I went inside right of that tree. So I'm gonna throw one here. This one should be a little better. There we go. That one's way better. So that one's pretty much parked. So you can throw putter on this hole and park it. Now I'm gonna go over here. This is the more ideal spot. I'm gonna be able to throw my slammer because I have a lot better angle. I don't have to throw this severe Annie turnover with the putter. So throw this slammer. And that should be pretty much parked. So not the farthest hole, it's just all about distance control. And yeah, you gotta be cautious of that off the tee, because if you're like, oh, I threw it too far, well, you should be able to account for that before the tee shot comes, so you can calculate those variables before you step up that hole and know your landing zones. And this is a common spot if you're out of position to throw like a little floaty Annie. It's hard to get that penetration going forward because you're coming up the hill. It's going to want to stop. Whereas the forehand's kind of going forward and skipping. This is kind of going up and kind of just sitting, not really skipping much. So we still got the bird from that spot, but so yeah, that's how you play hole 5. You can see the landing zone's tough, and it makes the upshot even harder if you're out of position. All right, hole 6, 947 foot par 5. We got like a double dog leg, where we dog leg right off the tee, and then you're coming back left on the second or third shot. This is definitely a 3-shot par 4. You won't see anybody really threeing this hole unless you're throwing something in, but you're not gonna be getting a inside the circle 2 putt at it. So it's a type of hole where you can throw a mid-range, you can throw a putter, you can throw a fairway. Really, it's hit the fairway on the first shot, and then you really wanna get around this blind corner on the second to give yourself a good up and down to give you a chance for the birdie 4. So I'm gonna try a mid-range, and I'm gonna try a putter. I'm gonna see if it's worth it throwing that extra speed down this gap. So I'm just gonna throw a putter, see where that lands me, And like I said, you don't really need that much distance off the tee. You just need to hit your line, really. So that seems like it's pretty much fine. I'm gonna throw one more putter and then throw a mid-range as well. So those are just daggers down the middle. I mean, nothing too fancy about it. I mean, I'm throwing just nice and firm, hitting the line, hitting my reach back, and just focusing on that to hit that line. Now I'm gonna throw this trust. This is probably gonna be another extra 50 to 100 feet down the fairway, and we'll see if that's even worth it. Oh, so I caught, that's good timing. Is that a tornado siren? That's funny, we are in the Midwest. But yeah, that second one, or that mid-range turned a little bit too much. I actually bounced in the middle, so I still have a chance at a birdie. But we'll go up there and see if the mid-range or the fairway is a better shot. All right, I threw my dagger to right here, right in the middle of the fairway. Have a nice shot. You can see this tree line has a gap and then it comes back left. You really want to just focus on getting the hyzer through this gap and then fading left at the end. That gets you in a pretty good spot. So I'm just gonna throw a shot from here. And just like I said, try to hit this gap and then fade left and see where that puts me. So I think that should be good. I'll throw one more. There we go. That one might be a little long, but I think it should be good. You want to favor long because the way the gap is angled, if you're short, you have no angle. So I'd rather be long than short on this one all day. Yeah, I think, and this is my other putter. So I threw this one even like 50 feet further than the other dagger. So, and this is, that tells me that, hey, there's really no reason to throw a driver. Yeah, if you get up here, you might have extra 100 feet on me, but you're not gonna get a better score because you're still pitching around the corner just like I am. So no reason to take the extra speed, risking having a really bad kick off the tee. Just not worth it. You're still playing for the same 4. Just based on the way the hole's laid out, you're not really gonna see players getting up there for a putt for 3. So your 4 is gonna be a good score on this hole. So this is my looks like from these spots, which isn't too bad. I'm in the fairway. I've got a clean run up. I've got a clean, nice angle to the basket, which is really all you can look for. So I like it. I'm just gonna kind of try to throw a nice smooth putter shot with probably a dagger, a little bit of hyzer through this gap, and this kind of pretty firm because you want to get a skip on the ground because I'm more than likely I'm not going to air it past the basket. My disc's going to hit short, so I want to have some speed on it so it has a chance to skip up to the basket. So we'll see what the ground play looks like up there. So through the hyzer like I wanted, see if I can get the forward penetration and get the skip. So I didn't quite see that, but I imagine I'm a little short, but I threw it good. I hit the line, hit the gap, and hit the angle I wanted too. So this one's a little flippier putter. I wouldn't normally throw it, but I'm gonna have to throw a little more hyzer on it to get it to fly how I want. So that looked pretty good too. So yeah, throwing the putter shots really well. I'm gonna lean into that this week for sure because the dagger's flying really good. I'm gonna try one from this spot, this criminal, which with this tree here, as you can see, there's a tree there. That's gonna force me to throw kind of the forehand Annie down this gap, which is, I'm okay with that as well. So I'm just gonna kind of step away from the tree. And then now it's just all about my arm angle. So I'm just focusing on my arm angle. The hill's gonna naturally wanna take me this way. So I don't wanna bring my arm angle down at all like this, because if I do that, then my disc can naturally wanna come out with hyzer and the hill's just gonna take it way over. So I'm gonna counter the hill and the fact that I wanna turn my disc over by just keeping my arm up like this the whole way. Keep my arm up and then snap my disc on that same angle that my arm's on. And that's gonna keep my disc moving right to left. So let's see if I can do that. So yeah, exactly, that was perfect. That's exactly what I want. I got a little smashed at the end, but I kept my arm angle like this, kept my wrist angle, snapped on that, and then that didn't let my disc hyzer back to the right off of this hill, which is very common when you're playing on a side slope like this. Oh, wow, okay. So looks like I got some ground action and threw it a little bit too hot with those daggers. I was thinking I was gonna get stopped up by this long grass, and I just made a miscue with that, but it was still, looks like my orange dagger's right here, so it's a little deep, 20 footer, not bad at all. And then I think my other flippier dagger, the purple one, is like somewhere over here. Okay, yeah, so it's right here. So yeah, they're both within, I would say 10 feet of each other, which is nice and consistent, which I like that. This is kind of an awkward putt, but. So there you go. You see that? I can throw the forehand if I'm out of position on the second shot. Throw the forehand ante. I can throw the dagger. So no matter what position I'm in, I feel comfortable. Even if I'm out of position, like you said, I was up on that tree, quote unquote, an uncomfortable lie because you have a tree in your way, but I can just step around it and feel comfortable with that arm angle, throwing the ante harp, which is right here. So got the upshots dialed no matter where I land. All right, hole 7, 325 foot dead straight, par 3. We got an offset center gap. It's gonna be probably a mid-range or a putter shot. It's gonna go flat, and then the last like 150 feet is a slightly downhill. So you wanna make sure you're not throwing too high to get that hyzer out at the end of its flight. So I'm gonna go with 2 daggers, just kind of a hyzer flip through the gap. I'm just gonna throw a hyzer through the gap and let the disc naturally turn up flat. And hopefully I can get up there. Yeah, so I like that. I hit the gap, it started flipping a little bit at the end. Try one more with a pretty similar disc. So pretty much the exact same shot there. I hit one of the just left side trees, but I threw the pretty much the shot I want. I'm gonna throw one more. I'm gonna throw this one's a little more stable, so I'm gonna kind of play, not to park it, but I'm gonna play like 25 left of the basket because this one's a little more stable. And I can't really get that flip up to get over to the basket on the right side. So yeah, the first one was good. We'll see where that gives me a putt, but this is clearly a pretty tricky little par 3. All right, so looks like my dagger didn't get any skip. So in the past, this has kind of been like dirt to where if I hit here, I would probably trickle up and skip and slide. So I'm just gonna have to take note of that and throw a little bit higher of a shot if I'm gonna throw a putter, so that way it has time to glide before it hits the ground. But I'll take a couple putts from here. Still got the birdie. Oh, but yeah, got the birdie on the first putt. That's one that matters. But no, for real, this is one of the harder par 3s, I would say. It's not distance-wise, but just the line is so tough, tricky to get the line and match the disc on the perfect shot. As you see, I threw a good line, I just didn't get the right height. And you got to do that on this par 3 if you want to get the birdie. Unless you hit a long putt. All right, hole 8, 389 foot par 3, downhill. We got OB right. We got a tight, narrow gap. And if you miss the gap, you're going OB and you're going to the drop zone and you're probably getting a bogey. So this hole is tricky. There's a lot of stroke separation if you're not careful. You really have to focus on hitting your line, hitting your drive. I'm gonna throw a flex harp up the gut just to try to hit the gap and give myself a long look at birdie. But this hole is probably one of the hardest par 3s on the course, I would say. And so if you're getting a long birdie look, you're doing good, because a lot of people hit early, drop OB, next thing you know, you're getting a bogey, and that's not what you want. So I'm gonna throw a flex harp, just focus on my arm angle, throwing flex through the gap, and just really committing. This is a committal shot. As you can see, if you don't commit, you're gonna hit a tree and you're gonna be in bogeyville here. So throw this harp. Oh shoot. So I hit that tree early, but I got lucky, but I still didn't hit the gap. So I'm gonna throw a shot to where I can hit the gap here, and let's do it. So I'm gonna throw a dagger on this one. And I really just wanna kind of throw it left of that drop zone sign, almost like I'm parking that short pin. And that if I do that and skip up, it'll kind of give me a putt at the long pin. Oh shoot. So So that would be automatic drop zone if that was the tournament. So as you can see, it's pretty tricky. I'm gonna throw, let's see here. I'll throw one more harp. I think harp's the play for me. Just flex it. There we go, that's better. So I'm gonna go just apply that pin. Yeah, I like that a lot. So I'm just past that pin, probably on the side slope. Probably got like about a 50 footer. And because if you're going up the middle and you turn it at all or anything or hit anything, you're just going OB straight to the drop zone. I like the safe play, give myself a long look for birdie and take the high percentage par if I need to. So I kind of let my control aggression out here. I'm not really being hyper aggressive, like having a chance to go out of bounds right. So I'm just gonna throw it a little bit left, a little bit short, because as you can see, the OB line's all the right side. Some discs will hit and even roll out of bounds. And then you gotta go all the way back to the drop zone, which is pretty much an automatic bogey. You don't get to take where it went out. So here is nice and safe. I still have a putt, not much risk, because even I have the backstop, those wooden posts are gonna stop me from going OB. So a lot of things helping me here. Still get the birdie. All right, hole 9, 732 foot par 4. We got like a straight shot that fades a little bit right to a landing zone and then finishes straight. So I'm trying to throw a forehand up this hill and finish to the right, and there's a little bit of a sweet spot there. I'm gonna throw my second shot from there. So I'm gonna go with the rive. It's gonna be a little bit more overstable since I'm going uphill, and so my disc's naturally gonna wanna stable out a little more than normal, so I'm gonna go a little more flippy. So that's pretty much what I want, and now it's gonna fade at the end. So yeah, that's pretty much gonna land me in the, now I'm gonna go with another rive as well. And this one's gonna be a pretty similar shot to that first one. Ah, too low. So I hit that tree, I just threw that one a little bit low. Try it one more, same shot, rive. All right, that one wasn't bad. Not bad at all. This hole's tricky. Anytime you have to hit a height requirement, which is this one's uphill, and hit the line, it makes it challenging because the hill, the fact you're going uphill is gonna change the nose angle of your disc and make it harder to hit the line. So people don't think about that. When you have height changes, it affects the line, not just the actual height, because your disc's gonna be moving left and right more than normal because of the height. So this is my first shot. As you can see, this is the kind of the landing zone kind of cutout area that I was talking about. And that's why I kind of favor the forehand, because you can see it kind of opens up this little bubble of fairway, making it pretty big. I'm probably just gonna go with a smooth fairway. We're going uphill, so I'm gonna have to pick a little bit flippier than I normally would. So I'm gonna go with this pink evader that I threw on hole 1. Definitely gotta wipe your discs off. People don't realize when you're throwing in dust and dirt and you try to throw a shot, a lot of times it'll slip out of your hand, especially with putters when you wanna have a good grip. So always wipe the dust off your disc because it cakes on your hand, and then also even if it doesn't, it's hard to grip a disc that's dusty. But I'm gonna throw this evader and just try to throw it through this gap. It's pretty flippy, so I'm gonna throw it through the gap and just kind of try to late turn it. I'm just really trying to throw it like a couple feet right of that lean tree, and then my disc's gonna take over and turn because of how flippy it is. So let's do it. I'm gonna throw the evader here. Get up. Okay, great. Looks like I got a good skip and I parked it actually. So that was a great shot. See, I kind of threw it up. The disc naturally is gonna turn and then skittered up to probably about 20 feet. So forehand's the play, get me in this bubble. And then depending where I'm at from here, I can even throw a forehand if I need to, but I'm just not in a good spot here. But if I go further left, that kind of puts me in the forehand position to attack the second. And that finishes the front 9 here at Northwoods. We're gonna head over to the back 9. Be sure to stay tuned and see how the back 9 plays out. Tap in birdie with the evader, through the right shot.